It's coming. Hi. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. We're trying my older phone today with the camera because we had some lag issues last time. I'm basically going to uninstall everything from the old device and just use the camera on it, and we're going to see if that works. That way I have my new phone for contacts and whatnot during the show if necessary. Really? Okay, so I'm being told that. Huh. Okay, hold on one second. I will be. Okay. So apparently we're having some issues. Yeah, I'm just gonna swap it over. So give me just a moment, and I'll get this fixed. What is going on?
I don't know. I have the phone.
So we're looking at it on.
No one can. I don't think anyone's even be able to see.
We're looking at it on the live party that. Oh, okay. Chris says it looks good there. Okay. Hers is. I'm looking at it on my wife's phone, right? And this is what she's showing up. So I don't know what's going on. If it's working fine for you, then I think it's her.
Yeah, it's your phone.
Yeah,
now.
it's your phone, babe. Okay.
That's fine.
All right, fine. We'll leave it go then. Man, so what we were doing, the reason we're a little bit late is I went and got some of my stuff out of my buddy's garage, my best friend Jim. We got some of that stuff. We're cleaning it up, and we were taking off there's a couple stickers on the back of my truck that were starting to peel, unfortunately. So we pulled those off. We were putting Goo Gone on it, and I'm like, oh man, it's almost time for the stream. So we had to run in and kind of hurry up. And then I was like, well, let me try to use the old phone, whatever. Anyway, so what I thought we would do today is we had Donovan on yesterday, and he told us his views, right? And how his views have changed because of the constant feed, the constant information. Now, the difference between Donovan and Orion, obviously, aside from the age, is the fact that Orion is very present on social media. He uses Snapchat, all of them, really, yeah. So he's going to have a lot more to say about that, and a lot more of a personal view of how these things change. My buddy, actually, when we get stuff from his garage, he was like, I told him what we were going to talk about tonight, and he's like, I don't even read, right? I don't even click on the stories. You just see the headlines, right? So, and that's what Orion said too. You're not really reading them. No, it's just this thing of headlines.
It's more of like, I guess it depends on what your social media sees you looking at more. And it feels like mine, it gives me the exact opposite of what I'm looking for. It's more of like, instead of like the pros of like, the Second Amendment, I get why this stuff is bad. And it's just like, I don't want to read stuff like that. That's why I see it. I just keep scrolling past it because it's like, feels like it's almost trying to brainwash what I'm trying to see and give me this other point of view and get me to that one.
Okay, interesting. Now, I will say though, is I've noticed that because he took a debate class in school, right? Well, speech, debate, whatever.
A mixture of both, really.
Yeah. And they had to pick a subject, and he looked into both sides, right? Because you have to do that so you know what they're going to say, right?
Yeah.
So when you're like scrolling through your stuff and all of these stories pop up, like at least from what I see, it's so many stories about how Trump is doing this bad and doing this badly and messing this up, right? Have you noticed a lot of that?
Yeah, and the thing is, like you said earlier, it's not just one person messing it up. It's a whole group. It's not just one person making a simple mistake or they say the wrong thing. It's the whole everyone. You can't just blame one person. This isn't just like one person in charge. It's everyone's in this together, and we got to do this together and not just blame one person for a mistake when it's a a group effect.
Right. So, like, yeah, you got Nancy Pelosi and all the other long timers in Congress, not from just one party, just, all these people that have been in Congress for 20 plus years blaming Trump. It's Trump's fault. Now, he's only been president for 3 years. How can he be solely responsible for the ills of the country? Biden's a perfect example of that. How he's like, everything's Trump's fault. I was vice president for 8 years. If he knows how to fix the country, right? If he knows how to fix all of these problems, why didn't he speak up while he was VP? Right? So what have you noticed when, like, growing up, right? You've been very attached as far as social media goes. You've had social media for quite a while. You've seen how you've been bombarded with the headlines and, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all these different things popping up on your feed all the time. Do you think, first of all, that all this have had an effect on how you view the world?
For me, not necessarily, because I do more than just one. If I see something on this article, I'll fact check it. If this just doesn't make sense, I'll Google, I'll do some more research on it. And if it does come out, it's like, well, that's an interesting fact. But if, it's just on this one article and it's not popping up anywhere else, like a statistic, and then I'm like, all right, well then, it doesn't affect me as much. But for people who just look at that one article, it can be very deceiving and trick you into thinking it's, for example, like the whole COVID thing. There's some that are saying it's higher than it was actually. And it makes people worry about that because they're reading, trusting this one article, and that's not what the actual truth is.
Right. Do you think that there's a fear push with the media? Do you think that they're trying to push that fear of?
I feel like it's a mixture of fear and then just trying to have this. Some are trying to have the best for the people.
Yeah.
So they just want people to be safe, but it's a mixture of both, really. Like, you have the people who want just you to be scared, so they have control over the situation. We also have the ones that are just wanting to help you and want the best for, you as a person.
Yeah.
And I feel like it comes down to what you believe in most. You feel like, because you have the right, you should have the right to go. And if you want to go outside and you want to risk your life, go for it. That's what you want to do.
Right.
You shouldn't be told that you can't do that. Now, if you're worried about getting sick or something, then you take the precautions, and let the people who feel safe doing it do what they want while they still can.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that Donovan talked about yesterday, for example, is at the beginning of the Obama administration, right? I think we had a pretty good relationship with the police and the culture, right? The neighborhood, the police. It wasn't as tight knit as it used to be. Like when I was a kid, you kind of knew your neighborhood cop in many areas. But one thing that I personally noticed, I don't know if you did, but over the years of the Obama administration, I noticed what seemed to be a push by media and the administration to kind of push that, pull that distance back, that people trust police. There was a lot more coverage of isolated incidents. And look, if an officer does something and they're in the wrong, they should absolutely be brought to justice. I've said it before. The ones that mess up are the ones that make headlines. There are hundreds of thousands of police officers, correctional officers doing their job every single day the right way.
But you don't hear about them.
You don't hear about them, right? Do you think that did you see, I should say, a progression over, this would have been, so let's see. So right before 2016, so 8 years prior, right? So 08, 2008. You would have been, you were in first grade, right? Because Orion actually, just like Donovan, Orion was absolutely positive that he wanted to be a police officer. Absolutely, like he was convinced. He was convinced he wanted to be a police officer. And during the Obama administration, he actually said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Do you remember? Like,
I remember it was more of like, especially in the port, I think it was just, I was easily like still trickable and not thinking in my own way. So you would see people and they were just going off on the cops. And at first I was like, I don't know if I could handle that. And then it seemed like the cops weren't as friendly. Like they were kind of having to do their job the exact way they had to, and they couldn't give you a leeway. They had to be like, if you were suspected of like, shoplifting,
Yeah.
you were automatically detained and you weren't questioned. You weren't anything. I felt like everyone was forced to do what they had to do. Like they couldn't just talk to you. They had to do it by the book 100% of the time. And I was like, I feel like if you're going like 5 over or whatever, and you get pulled over, you should have the cop should have the option that you'd be like, here's a ticket or give you a warning.
Right.
And they didn't feel like that was happening, so you didn't have that freedom to kind of choose the way you wanted to handle the situation.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So all of the interactions that we've ever had with police, because I've been pulled over, for speeding. I have a lead foot. I'll admit it. As a truck driver for many years, being paid by the mile kind of leads you to try to get there as quickly as possible and take as little time as possible to do that. So I've been pulled over a couple of times in the years, growing up. All of my interactions with police officers have always been very positive. Do you think that your attitude towards police would change if all of your interactions with them were negative? Or if you saw,
if we had the whole thing with everyone, if you were just mean to the cop, or you had a little bit of attitude, you see in certain videos that the cop was just mean back and he did however he wanted to handle it. So I feel like your attitude towards them definitely does affect how the situation goes, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and the same thing with vice versa. If the cop's rude to you, you have the tendency that you want to fight back for your right. You have the right to. Yeah. And sometimes it just ends in a situation worse than you ever expected. Like, you just wanted to give your point of view, and they weren't having it, and then you get charged with refusal to, listen to them or whatever, and you just have to deal with it because at that point, no one wants to listen to your point of view. They go off of what they have from the officer.
Right. So on this line, right, the reason that I mentioned this is because there are those people out there, right, who are all about for their First Amendment right to record. Yeah. I saw a video the other day about someone that they were recording and got confronted. The way you respond changes a lot of time changes how that entire encounter goes. It can make it go from good and a nice, interaction to, explosion or just flip the script completely.
All the way you say about your recording. If you give it with an attitude, the cop's going to be a little bit more defensive because they have to make sure you're not going to try anything.
Yeah.
But you also have, if you just come up and say, I'm recording this for my safety, you have a more, positive outlook from the cop. They're not going to be sitting there pushing you or, as it comes out in the videos, even though you don't fully know because the video can be cut and, changed for however you want.
Right. Right. So when you were with the 2016 election, right?
Yeah.
So almost 4 years ago, you were 13 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Chris. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah. But you were 13 years old. I didn't really, at least I don't think, I really spent a lot of time telling you, Trump is bad or Trump is good.
Yeah.
I kind of let you
it was
figure that out on your own.
On my own and see what I believed in myself. And that's one thing I'm thankful for because you have those one that just push you the right or the left and the kid can't choose for themselves what they want. And it just continues down the line. They do the same thing for their kid and it just goes on that, this side's always wrong and this is the side you should always agree with. And when you're put like that, you don't have your own voice to pick what you want.
Right. Right. Which is, and my wife and I don't necessarily agree on every aspect of child rearing. But one of the things that I've tried to focus on is teaching my kids how to think for themselves versus teaching them what to think.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for not just any regular person, but especially for someone that's looking to get into politics like me. I want people to be able to approach me with any angle. Yeah. And there are those people that live in the district and I have to represent them as well. People on the left. I'm not going to say that every single Democrat out there is bad because it's not true. Just like not every Republican is good. There are people from both sides of the aisle
that are just wrong.
That are just flat out wrong and bad. There are bad people all over. What do you think was the biggest takeaway from the constant stories that are just all the time? Do you think it kind of changes the narrative of like, so you'll see, I don't want to like steer your answer, but for example, when you log into Facebook or Twitter Facebook. Or whatever, Facebook especially, when you get on Facebook, you see all these different stories and all these different, you got your ads, you know, there, you got the people that are, you know, putting stuff out there and what they believe. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. First of all, how do you feel about Facebook taking over the job of fact checker for these stories?
I don't like it. I feel like it takes away your amendment right to say how you feel. And when you get like shadow banned almost on Facebook, just no one, not even your friends can see it. It's like they just don't want that point of view being out and you to show how you feel about a certain situation. You'll see a lot more, like especially with like for example, with the whole police thing, you won't see about an officer who, you know, saved a kid's life from a fire or whatever. You'll see the one that, you know, officer shoots kid 4 times and then that's all you see. And then you just read that and you're like, well, that's wrong, and you keep going. No one clicks on it. And it's very deceitful, like it's very sneaky in how they hide their stuff. And it's like that's why I don't go through Facebook as much, because it seems like I can't trust what articles are being out there and the full story behind it. So that's why I always say fact check with what you read, because you never know what the actual case is. And a lot of the stuff you can just do a simple Google and you'll see several stories pop up about it, and you'll see from this point of view, and you'll see if there's stuff that matches. And I feel like a lot of that came from debate, which you had to do. You had to fact check your facts before you just came up with it, because you never knew if that person, if you just did a quick one, you'd be like, they already have something prepared for that, and they say, oh, well, that's not true.
Yeah, they can crush you on that. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So the debate, you think that having a debate class was a good way to prepare you to actually learn the truth about stuff. Okay. All right. That's good to know. So when you see all these stories, Facebook is like probably the worst example that I could think of, as far as, this side is fact, for lack of a better term, you know, but this thing, that the example that I give is, I shared a story. There was a video where Ventura County, California, the health director was talking about contact tracing. Right. Facebook actually says that was not true, even though it was their press release. Right. So how can we possibly trust their fact checkers at all? Yeah. So Dave has a question. What platform do teenagers trust today?
It's different for each kid. I feel like the least for like all of us is Facebook. Everyone I've talked to, none of us trust stuff from Facebook. It's always, we don't believe it because it's very short, very brief, and there's no description to it whatsoever. For me, it's a lot of Snapchat because they have the Snapchat stories, and I haven't noticed a whole lot of like left-leaning or right-leaning. You get the basic news, and there's sometimes with certain articles, because you do have the option to go through the CNN one or whatever, where you can be on that left side. And I feel like Snapchat's just kind of right in the middle. Like they don't want to get into the whole political thing. At least from how my Snapchat's set up and how I have it, I haven't noticed any of it, and some of my friends don't notice it. And I feel like that's it. And then Instagram is probably the second one because of just, you have your friends who you trust, and you may or may not share the same view, but you don't have that problem where you're disrespecting one each other. You're just having a simple conversation. Right. Okay. That's good to know. So do you use Twitter? I do, but I don't use it a lot. And it's because of a lot of the people I've watched who are on the right. For example, this guy named Graham Allen, who I watch on YouTube and stuff, he just does he lives in Texas. He does a lot of videos on like the Second Amendment and points of view, some other like officers or stuff. And you just see some of his tweets and he'll post about it. Like he'll say something that he feels is not right. And it's, just a simple point of view. And no one sees it. It's right. Isn't it interesting? It's like deleted. Yeah, it really is. That's the other thing about Twitter is there. I wish I could find the story now, but they actually did a story where they looked into the people that have been like banned, right? Yeah. It's okay apparently to share stories and images and stuff, and Instagram too, for a long time, where it's okay for
violence and
Yeah.
to call for violence against certain people, as long as those people that are calling for violence are calling for it to people on the right, that's okay.
Yeah.
But anything else, even sharing stuff, that like ads for the president, that's going to get you. Yeah. Just it's so ridiculous.
One thing I realize is Facebook, especially after about 12 o'clock at night, Facebook is a completely different thing than it is in the morning. There is stuff that you should never have seen on Facebook. Videos of animals eating people, like it gets violent, and I'm like, how is this stuff on?
Yeah, how's that okay? But telling me, but the letter Q suddenly is a really big deal, right? Yeah, that's a really good point. What do you think? What do you think the biggest takeaway is for other teens looking for a good place to get news that isn't necessarily biased?
It's very tricky to name one spot where you can go because there's articles from different sides. Like you can't just get a newspaper and read it and it's just neutral.
Right.
You have to kind of go back and forth and see what you believe in. And basically it comes down to, for election, if you're on my age, you'll be voting this year. So, you do your research, you take the test or whatever you may to see which side you agree with more, and you go from there. And I feel like once you figure out where you stand, you can find articles for how you feel easily. And it's not as tricky to find one where they're saying this, but they mean this.
Right. So would you say probably check both sides?
Yeah.
Like ONN and CNN. Read what they say, or watch a video from each to kind of see what the difference is.
Like one of my friends, for example, I'm not going to say names because he doesn't like that. He was for Bernie because he had the belief in medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. But then he realized he was a socialist and he doesn't like that. So I'm like, with that information you have right now, look for candidates who believe in the, right for, medical marijuana or however you may feel about it, and go from there and see where you are from that point of view.
Right.
And once you have something that you believe in, there's more than likely a candidate who believes the same way you do. Mm-hmm. And you can go from there. You might not agree with everything, but if you can get the stuff that you heartily believe in, for me, like the Second Amendment, and you find that person, it makes it easier. You're not going to agree with 100% of everything that they say. That right. So we all have different points of views.
Since we're talking about the Second Amendment, right? What do you think is so important for you? You know how I feel, but for you, what makes the Second Amendment so important? Especially since in Indiana is different than a lot of other states out there, but there are states that are making it 21 before you can purchase a rifle. What for you makes the Second Amendment such a critical part?
It's the fact that it's not even like we grew up in a bad area, but you like Paris, for example, you can't have one in general. And when you have that problem, you get robberies because ultimately a criminal, he's already going to commit a crime.
Right.
Getting a gun is not going to be a challenge for him. That's going to be the easiest part. So my belief in defending yourself, the founding fathers did, and look where that got. We got our freedoms the way we are now.
Right.
And my whole thing with changing the law is, who are you to be like, you can't do this? You should have the right to tell your kid. You give your kid the option when he's 18 or 21 or whatever to get his own weapon.
Yeah.
I feel like with handguns, I kind of understand because there's some kids who fully aren't there, and one bad day can change everything.
Yeah.
But if you, especially for hunters, why are you going to change it for them? They're 18 and they want to go get a rifle to hunt. They should be allowed to. Mm-hmm. You were
for self-defense. Yeah.
You should have the right to. You were classified as an adult once you turn 18. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you should have the choice to get the stuff like an adult should. Mm-hmm. Like that's the whole thing with they changed the smoking age.
Yeah.
That's not
right.
For the kids who are 18. They even if they weren't into it, you just took another right away from them that they earn once they turn 18.
Right. So you've looked at joining the service.
Yeah.
You've kind of bounced back and forth as to, might join the National Guard, might join the Army, looked at different things. How does it make you feel, or how do you feel about the fact that you're old enough to go and die for this country, but you're not old enough to choose whether to smoke. You're not old enough to choose whether to drink. You're not old enough to choose to, purchase a firearm in some states. That it's okay to go die for us.
Yeah.
But don't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And you can't do that.
like it, but that goes with another thing with when you're in the army and stuff. Once you're 18, you can smoke, you can do a lot, but once you come back to the real world, that's taken away from you.
Right.
And it's like, well, you get used to this lifestyle, and when you come out and it's not like that anymore, people are gonna get confused and they're gonna have problems with that, and you're gonna have people who get angry because they got addicted to smoking or whatever that may be.
Right.
And now they can't get that. So I feel like with the whole dying for their country, it's like if you want to, you should have the right to, but you should also have the right if you could sign up to do other stuff that you can risk your life doing at home.
Right. Yeah. And I personally disagree with the laws that are raising here's the thing that kills me with that whole thing is the very people who want to raise the laws to purchase firearms want to lower the age for voting. Like,
yeah,
that makes no sense. Timothy Jones actually brought up a good point. I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet. He said, look what Trudeau just did in Canada. Made a third of his citizens into criminals because they own AR-15s and AKs, and just blatantly outlawed all military-style rifles, right? All of them.
A rifle. Like, you can say that about any rifle, shotgun, or pistol. It's military use only. Like, once you start saying that, you can't stop them from saying this is not a military weapon.
Right. There's no sense behind the laws that are made, and I think there's so much focus too on the people that make the laws. Like, what laws have you passed? That seems to be the check for someone's experience, right? Yeah. What laws have you passed? I'm far more concerned with what corruption have you gotten rid of? What laws have you rolled back? We have so many laws in this country already. It's mind-blowing. There's no way you can know every single law.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
There's no laws getting passed every day, every month. There's no way. And I don't even think a lot of police officers, they can't memorize all of them, and they have to remember almost 90% of them. And then when you ask what you did wrong, and they say that, you'd be like, I've never heard of that. And then you don't know where to go from there.
Right. And they like to tell us, oh, ignorance is not an excuse, right? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But ignorance of the law seems to be an excuse when legislators...
When you have money, it seems like you can kind of get away with a little bit more.
Yeah. So it's good to hear that. It's kind of what I thought as far as these constant pop-ups on your phone with the latest article and the latest news. And I don't know if you've seen this. I'm going to show you this, and you tell me what you think. I don't think I showed you this, but I might have. I don't remember. So we're gonna bring it up just in case. You guys have seen this already if you've seen my previous two videos, but I don't think I've had it. Here's the thing. I don't spend a lot of time showing Orion the things that I research and look into, because I find it very important for him to do his own research. I might, hey, check this out. I might send him a video now and then, but here we go. Okay. So there's that. Allow. So take a look at this. Bring that up. So here is all. Remember how we said Facebook, right? And the censorship thing. So they're removing page after page.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like this. The prime example, the video I sent you about that one girl who worked for, the virus, or I forgot exactly what it was, but making cures for the viruses and vaccines and stuff.
Oh yeah, the pandemic video. Yeah. Which now I just want to put this out there. I did see the video. Now allegedly there's coming out that this lady is coming out with a book, and she apparently was fired for stealing from, I don't know. There's more to it, I guess. The point is, Facebook is quick to get rid of this, right? But it's okay to share stuff about the left and how Joe Biden is.
It's all about if you have money. If you have the money, you give it to Facebook. I fully believe if you can give that money to Facebook, it's how your point of view is more than they will someone who doesn't.
Yeah. Well, bear in mind that I don't know if you saw, but Facebook came up with this this Supreme Court. There's 20 people, I guess, on this panel. Yeah. Did you see the list?
And they decide what post is acceptable or not. And my thing is, why are these 20 people not? Why not someone from who has no political view, left or right? They're just neutral. Why don't they have those? It seems like they're almost all left. There's like one or two that may be right. Yeah. And that's it. And it's like, oh, well, okay, that seems fair.
Right. That seems fair and balanced, right? It's mind-blowing how these big tech companies are controlling the narrative for our children, and it's only getting worse. Yeah. It was bad growing up. We knew. That's
all I see when I go through Facebook. On the right side, Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, and then you see Nancy Pelosi for this, and what she's doing good. But when you go on YouTube and people are dying from starving, and she's sitting there talking about her ice cream collection that costs $12 a pint. No one that's not something I want to I feel like that's something that should be seen and be like well, you're suffering. This is what this one rich person's doing and how they're rubbing it in your face.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is the video that I was talking about, Timothy, the one from the Ventura County where they were talking about doing the contact tracing. He says, what's your thoughts on these states making up these insane contact tracing rules, basically forcefully removing people whom are suspected of having the virus that shall not be named and placing them into quarantine facilities? It's a scary road they're going down.
Yeah, it is, because who gives you the right to decide if I'm sick enough to go to it? And I'm like, and with the whole thing, they're saying if you have more than one bathroom, you're okay. But if you have one bathroom,
right,
you got to go. Like,
that's what it was about. Was if you have if there's only one bathroom, then we're going to have to remove people.
Who are you to remove me from my family? And if they feel like they're safe enough to handle it, that's fine. At that point, if they have the virus, you've already given it to your family. There's no way you can stop giving it to them.
Right. And look, I fully believe that there are people out there, right, who think that this is no big deal, that, whatever, just like there are plenty of people that take this seriously. But the government, for one, like Ronald Reagan said, the scariest words are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I wanted to ask you, right? So do you think that today's generation, you being a part of it, believes that the government believes more or less in the government now than you did like pre-2016?
All of my friends, and I include, we don't trust half of it. Like, we do our own thing, and then we talk about ourselves and see where we each stand. And that's one thing, like when I'm on my game, we're not just, making jokes. We get those serious moments where we talk about what's going on and we go from there. And a lot of us, we just don't trust what the government has to say because we all know that they're not giving us the full truth. And it's very hard to get the full truth, especially at this age, because you don't really know what to look up to get the full truth behind all of it. So it's very difficult. And especially since in my group, it's different minorities. We're not all just white or it's, right. very, very racial. And there's no problem with it. Like we don't have those, people are like, how dare you? Like it's
right. No, you're absolutely right. Do you think, do you think that a lot of the racial issues that we're being told there are highlighted more than they should be?
Oh yeah. Prime example with the whole police thing. You see, you only see the white officer shooting a black cop, and you don't see anything else. And it gives those kids who see that on the news, they're like, "Oh, cops are bad. This is what they do." And that's not even the full story behind it, because you only get that one highlight where the guy's getting shot. Right. You have no idea what else is going on. And at my age, you see that, you're like, "That's messed up." You don't think about it because it's on TV. You're like, "That's just wrong. Why would he do that?" And I feel like that gives a lot of cops that bad look, and it gives kids like, don't trust them. Don't go to them. They might hurt you. And it's not the way it is.
Yeah. We're living in a society now where the information is tightly regulated.
Yeah.
It's controlled. The dissemination of free speech where people are allowed to just say whatever they want at least online, is tightly controlled, right?
Yes.
It's hard to actually have a platform where you're allowed to say whatever you want and you're not going to come under fire for it or be called a name or something like that.
Personal experience from that. I've like 75% of my stuff on Facebook is right-sided stuff, and no one sees it. My friends don't even see it. They have to go to my profile and look it for themselves. They don't see it on their feed whatsoever.
Yeah. He's talking about, like pro-Trump, for example, or patriotic type stuff. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff that gets shared seems to disappear.
Yeah, almost all of it. Like, there was one thing I didn't even understand why. It was this military soldier who looked it up. Like, he came home and his wife was cheating on him, and that was instantly like I couldn't even find it on my own feed. It was just gone. I'm like, why does that have to be taken down when it's just a video of someone coming home and they find this out? Like,
so the wife just showed me this. Indiana to outsource coronavirus contact tracing to private call center for $43 million a year.
Maxim, I think is what the governor.
Maxim is what she. I don't have the link for it right now. I'll. It's on IndyStar. Okay, so if you look up IndyStar, it should pop up. I'm going to see if I can. Maximus. Let's see. IndyStar contact tracing. Let's see if we can. Here it is. So this is actually.
Yeah, I have it right
a little bit. Yeah, Indy to pay Maximus $43 million a year to do. Here, I'll add that. There we go. I put in IndyStar contact tracing, and it's right there. Apparently, a company called Maximus. Yeah. So let's see. Does it look like this one here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah,
looks like
I saw the one that it was like the national.
Yeah, this is actually a few days old, a week old or so.
Hold on, down a little bit more. Right here, it's this part right here.
Okay, so yeah, this one right here.
Yeah,
the National Association of County and City Health Officials recommends that states hire 30 contact tracers for every 100,000 people. For a state the size of Indiana, that would come out to more than 2,000 contact tracers. Does this worry anybody else? Like, seriously, I really want to know. This bothers me, guys. It really does. We're looking at
some people that say they work for the government coming in and be like testing you, and then they're like, oh well, here's what this. You could have a false test.
What will happen is if you test positive, they will immediately call you within 1 hour. And they will keep calling you until you answer.
So, okay. So apparently when you test positive, they will call you, right? And keep calling you until you pick up the phone.
It will then be anywhere from 1 to 4 hour long phone call.
And then a phone call is 4 hours.
Have all this time for.
Yeah. And you're supposed to tell them everywhere you went. And who you may have come into contact with.
If you're an essential worker, you're screwed because you got everyone else screwed.
Yeah. Then they call you every day to keep quote unquote checking in on you.
Yeah, and then they call you every day to check in on you. Listen, I
that was from the governor's press conference when he announced the 5-phase plan. That came straight out of the governor.
Yeah, that's from the governor's plan, right? Look, that's another good question, Dave. I'm glad you asked it. I wonder who owns that company. Who owns Max? Is responsible for making the money from that company? We know that it's a bunch of backroom deals that happen for anything. In let's see here. So Maximus CEO Richard Montoni received the 2012 Washington D.C. GovCon Executive of the Year award among companies with annual revenue. Okay, so the CEO is Richard Montoni. So I wonder what his connection is and how he was able to get that contract. It certainly makes you wonder. Let's see here. Paul said, like most officer shootings in Deshae, they show the negativity of it most, the protests and such. Yeah.
Oh, he was born in Indiana.
He was born. Okay, so he was born in Indiana.
I'm just trying to go through. He's a doctor, according to this.
Yeah, he's allegedly a doctor. I don't know. The whole thing makes me extremely nervous.
What makes this guy so special that he can control who goes in for this?
And why? Like, here's my whole thing is, I've said it from the beginning. We need realistic numbers.
Oh yeah,
to be able to make an informed decision.
How did the numbers drop almost 30% once they announced that these people are dying from respiratory infection, heart attacks? Just because they may have had it doesn't mean you'll die from it.
Yeah, and all of a sudden the deaths from the flu just vanished.
Yeah. Where did those go?
Yeah. There it is. Okay, so Jack would like to let us know Maximus was founded in 1975 by David V. Mastrin, a former employee of the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. Very interesting, right? What are the ties? What are the connections?
This is something you have to do a lot of research.
Yeah, there's, it's something that someone will have to look into, but we've seen it on many levels. These people get, hold on.
Okay, this one's from prwatch.com about Richard Montoni.
Okay, so the wife has something from, what is it, prwatch.com?
Yeah.
Okay, prwatch.com.
From 2008 to 2012, he received $16,194,847 in total compensation, making him, quote, America's highest paid caseworker. America's
highest paid caseworker is one of the quotes. I don't know if you could hear what she said, but the guy has
money.
So
once again, it comes down to money.
Alleged that Maximus colluded with the DC's Children and Family Service Agency to help it falsify claims to Medicaid for services provided to children in DC foster care program.
So this guy is connected to the DC foster system and some allegations that there were some falsification of records and deep state. I don't look. I don't know. Right. Yeah, like my wife is actually a caseworker and she doesn't get paid near the amount. What was the figure again? Because I don't know if they heard you. 16 million over $16 million from 08 to 2012.
And
4 years.
Cumulative compensation was $41,808,585.
His cumulative compensation was that's Maximus's compensation, $41 million. But this guy got $16 million over the course of 4 years.
Something's fishy.
Yeah. He's linked to allegations of Medicaid fraud in DC, the foster care system there, DCFS.
They could have chosen one of the only answering services in the state.
Yeah, like Chris says, Russia, right? That, you know what? And I'm going to say this. It's just the way it is. Look at Russia, right? Look over here at Russia. Don't pay attention to China, who, is responsible for this virus, who is probably the single biggest international threat to the United States.
Like, how are you going to have this virus and it just kills millions of people? And you're just like, we're not going to tell anyone about it. Like,
right. And so Paul says, reminds me of that A.J. Freund case last year. Yeah, there's so much fishy stuff going on, which is, look, guys, it just comes down to when you go in the voting booth, you have to pick someone that you truly believe is going to root out the corruption. Because it's all over. It's everywhere. I don't have all the answers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know everything because I don't. What I do know is that there's right and there's wrong. We need someone who's going to do right. We need someone who's going to get in there and say, okay, we need to get to the bottom of the things that are going on here. I want investigations.
Yeah.
I want people looking into things. Like, oh yeah, Dave, look at Fauci's patents, right? This guy has a ton of Fauci is so deep state. It is craziness.
It also looks like all Maximus' jobs are based out of Chicago.
Oh, and Liz had a good point. It looks like all of Maximus's jobs are based out of Chicago.
Look where Chicago is at now.
Yeah, and look at Chicago, right? Here's my thing with any contracts our state gives, and it comes down to the train project, right? The up here we've got almost $1 billion that to be spent on these tracks, and it's all contractors from out of state.
Where's the local workers at?
Yeah, where's the local workers? Where's the money for the local businesses and contractors? And I'm so over this. That's why we desperately need people that are going to get into office and use that office for what it's intended to. Yeah, you go in there and you vote, but more importantly, as a congressman, you're the liaison between the federal government and your citizens.
Yeah,
the citizens of your district. You are their voice in government,
and
you are
seem like anyone voices our opinion. It's they're in there for the money, and that's why everything. Like I said, everything comes down to if you have money, you'll get away with a lot more than if you don't.
Right, and
it's all paper. It's all it is.
Yeah, you know what? My friend and I were talking about this today when we went to get the stuff out of the garage. And I'm planning on having a show coming up where we deep dive into the national debt and what if we got rid of the Fed? What if we went to a gold-backed standard? I'm trying to get an expert on the show so that we have more than just my opinion and some articles, but someone who actually understands economy better than I do, right? Who can talk to us and tell us, okay, because in his opinion, according to him, getting rid of the Fed, well, he didn't specifically say getting rid of the Fed. What he said was moving to a gold-backed currency would be a step backwards, okay? And he's not in favor of it. Now, I'd like him to be able to explain to you guys why he believes that way. Me personally, no one will ever convince me that we would not be better off without the Fed.
Yeah.
So you know what? That's a good question for you is I haven't really showed you a bunch of stuff about the Fed and how that goes into what's your understanding of our monetary system?
Well, right now I feel like it's very back and forth. Like there's their pros and their cons. I do know, and I do have suspicion of from watching a lot of videos and doing my own research that, we have the gold reserve in Kentucky. That's empty. I fully
believe Fort Knox is empty?
Yep.
See, that's interesting. There are a lot of people who actually believe that Fort Knox has been empty for a very long time.
I don't believe it's been full. There may be like one or two bars, but we're completely lost. All of our gold, it's completely gone, and that's why we're in such high debt for where we are as a country. Like,
well, you know that the paper that is printed, the dollar bills that you use, do you know that they're not backed by anything?
No,
it's literally just paper. Yeah, there used to be a gold standard. You guys probably all know this. I'm going to tell him real quick. There used to be to where you could go into the bank, and you could present. It was called a silver certificate, a bearer's bond, right? You the cashier, and they had to give you gold value for it, right? Silver value, because it was called a silver certificate. There's nothing actually backing our money. These people can print as much money as they want, and we don't even own the Fed. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It's called the Federal Reserve, but there's nothing federal about it. It's a private bank.
It's its own thing.
Yeah, it's its own thing. And now there's this push for digital currency, which
ones and zeros. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's a series of ones and zeros. But I'm trying to get that lined up to where we actually have an expert come on and we can have a good discussion about that and why the people in that position believe that this is the central banks and stuff are good and we don't want to go back to actually backed currency and stuff like that. I don't see it. I can't understand why that would be like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I don't like digital currency. There are Look at Bitcoin. There have been like major hacks that people have lost everything because of ones and zeros. Because that's real. I mean, what is it really? It's
made up currency.
Yeah, it's made up bits and bytes of information. I understand the blockchain technology and the things that go into it. I just don't trust it.
Neither do I.
I just don't trust it. At least with precious metals and a currency backed by precious metals, it has real value.
Yeah.
It has something that you can tangibly see, because let's face it, the reason gold is valuable nowadays, especially, is because it has actual uses in electronics.
All of our phones, all of it, it all has gold in it.
Right. There's not much, but gold is actually the best conductor.
Yep.
Right. So everything's electric now. Everything's electronic. It has real value. You can utilize that gold.
That's why fully electric cars are so much more expensive than gasoline cars.
Yeah, because of the batteries and everything that's in it and all the digital stuff that it takes, all needs gold. Gold is having a massive surge in value, at least with something backed by that. It has real value. And inflation's a giant scam as well. But yeah, is there anything else that you would like to say to the people that, well, first of all, the people that aren't sure who they're going to vote for, okay, and don't know that much about the candidates? What? Yeah, please. I need this job. I have to feed. He doesn't look like it, but he eats so much. He never stops eating. See, he agrees. He knows. Yeah, his feet are as big as mine. He's as tall as I am. He never stops growing. And the 14-year-old, he puts away more food than I've ever seen an individual put away.
Sometimes he eats more than I do.
He does. He does.
3-pound meatloaf the other day.
Yeah. Liz made a 3-pound meatloaf between that dinner and one meal the next day by one person. It was gone. And the 14-year-old, he ate the rest of. Yeah. Chris said, my skinniest kid eats the most. I know. Donovan, oh my goodness, I need, please send me to Washington. I need the salary. Look, it's nuts, man. They eat so much. So what would you say to the people that aren't sure of who to vote for? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, that's true. But still, I feel like for everyone that doesn't have the opportunity to go do something like that, look up your belief. Like, look up for someone who has your beliefs and go from there. That it's a starting base, and you can go from your starting base and work your way up to who you believe is the best person for you. Like I said before, you're not going to have someone you agree with 100% all the way, because you just have different values in that person.
Yeah, Dave says he's enjoyed having you on. I agree. I like having Orion on, and Donovan too, but especially Orion, because he's that new voter age. He can vote in this election, and that's a big deal. This is his first election, and my personal opinion is that this is the most important election in our lifetime.
Yeah,
I really truly believe that.
What happens in our country.
Yeah, because look, here's what it comes down to: is at least presidential. Let's forget about Congress, forget about local. Just the presidential election. We have Donald Trump and for the moment versus Joe Biden. Now, you either have to ignore all the bad stuff about Biden and say, the only way to do that, he creeps me out too. The only way to do that, and he can't talk longer than 5 minutes without fumbling or falling asleep. Yeah, how are you going to be president like that?
You have. What happens if he has a whole COVID thing like Trump does, and you have to explain what you're doing to help? If you can't speak for more than 5 minutes, you shouldn't be in that spot.
Yeah, he has some form of cognitive issues. I've said that before. Paul said he has a rainwater shirt on today, so awesome. I'm gonna throw my banner up there. The signs should be coming the beginning of next week, picking them up and delivering them. So if you'd like a sign, email us. And if you want questions for Donald Rainwater or what? Who? I'm just doing this real quick. He's good. You want, we're gonna have Donald Rainwater on Tuesday. I'm gonna be running some promotions on Facebook and stuff. I'd like to get all the libertarians out there in Northwest Indiana, especially, to come on, send us your questions for them. It's really just gonna be kind of hanging out and chatting, but we're also going to hear from them. Before this stuff, that the pandemic, I just said a libertarian, do they have a chance at winning? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, now I don't know. I mean,
it's very interesting.
Right. So, yeah, I happen to believe the same thing, Dave, that Biden will not be the nominee. That's I happen to agree with that.
I don't know. There's some people who are on Facebook comments and anywhere saying, I'd much rather have him, the creepiest dude, than Donald Trump be my president again. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Right. Here's the thing. This is what he's saying. No, he's not saying he won't win. What he's saying is they're going to replace Biden with the person they really want to win. There's talk that Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama is going to.
If we can't get Michelle, we can't have Michelle. Their school lunches are finally going back to normal, and I feel bad for anyone that has to deal with that anymore.
Children will starve.
So, yeah, that's actually a really good point. One of the things that nobody's talking about is the fact that she got in there,
destroyed our school lunches, destroyed them. I used to be full after coming home. Now when I go to school and it's finally getting back, before I was coming home hungry. It's like I didn't eat anything. And now I'm finally coming home from school at least, and I wasn't as hungry as I was before. There was nothing to eat. It was all the same. And for someone that was supposed to be healthy, all the food that we were getting, the cheese pizza, looked nasty. It didn't look good. It didn't taste good. It was like cardboard.
Yeah. The school lunches thing was just like, wait, what? And it made no sense.
And it wasn't even the school lunches that made you fat. It was what you would eat after. You had those people who would just eat fast food every day. And the schools don't have control over that. And you can't take away fast food restaurants. Right. You don't have that power to. And it's like, if someone wants to have that problem of dealing with obesity and being fat, then they should have the right to. And you can't, take away what we're allowed to and what we're not allowed to eat.
Right. So, yeah, I agree. Look, there are always tons of news stories that come on the feed and all of that. So we can't do much about that for our kids, right? They're gonna get that overload of information, at the very least, all these headlines. But what we can do is we can talk to our kids and say, so what worries you most? Yeah. Right? What happened today? More than just how was school? Yeah. But
a lot of kids want that. Like, I'm talking to my friends and they're like, how was school? And school was the same thing as it was the day before. You didn't really learn anything. And if you did, it wasn't something that you felt important. When you ask, like, what's going on, like, your social media or something like that, you get a little bit more engagement, and it makes the kid, especially, like, younger, like Donovan's age, that's the best time, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, with Donovan, the easiest way to get him talking is ask about his favorite video game.
Yes.
Once he gets in on that, then you can kind of...
You can change it into it, then you go back to it, and you go...
Right. Yeah. You got to kind of... Because they're not going... Some will, but most of them aren't just going to tell you what's on their mind. They're not going to initiate that conversation. That's why it's important for you to initiate it. Say, hey, what's going on in your game? Yeah. What's going on your social media? How many friends do you have on your friends list? Stuff like that. At least start the conversation, and then you can help to guide it.
And then I feel like once you get that social media, you got to monitor for a while just to make sure they're not doing anything stupid. Like, Mom did a good job with that when I started Facebook, monitoring who I was friends with and what I was posting, and I feel like that's helped me in the long run. And I've always checked to see if I knew the person, because you have someone that you don't know, and all of a sudden you're getting hacked. You have a virus on your phone because you click something, and I'm constantly getting those people that are getting hacked. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And I click on the chat, I don't click on it, and it's hacked.
Right. That's really important too. As far as security goes, make sure that Oh, wow. Let's see this. Okay, so
I feel like your computer should be able to do that.
Right. So,
Can't.
okay. I'm going to tell you what it says. If you can't see it, it says medical center admits planting staff in CBS News report on testing. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that on CBS News. CBS News. Wow. Wow.
Does that surprise me? No.
They said
Doesn't
that
surprise you. Okay.
a few staff
So
were encouraged to pull their cars up in a testing line to provide a visual backdrop showing how busy the testing site can get. This was done with the intention of protecting patient privacy since many of patients have been scheduled for a test that day. The
Wow.
individual
I
responsible
forgot.
for this mistake has accepted responsibility and expressed deep remorse for this unfortunate situation.
Wow. Expressed deep remorse for this unfortunate situation. Deep remorse, right? So look at, oh my goodness. So you just said that doesn't surprise you at all. I showed you did you see the Project Veritas video that came out? Now, remember that CBS has been leading the charge against the president.
Yep.
Right?
Right next to CNN.
Right next to CNN. CNN has been caught multiple times staging scenes and stuff like that. CBS, this is huge. This is massive. Yeah. So Paul likes the new display. See, what do you guys think? Do you prefer this setup or
Maybe you have options.
yeah, or the minimal? Book. Like that. What do you guys like? This is one.
We're at the eye doctor now.
This is two. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, we're at the hour mark. I appreciate everybody showing up, and I will still listen. So I want to address a couple of things real quick. Oh, hold on. Paul says, I've seen Trumpsters believing that DJT can get a redo of his first 3 years because of the charges against him, thus getting 11 years total. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think that's how that works, especially because he was acquitted. Now, had he been removed?
Maybe.
I don't look, that gets into a bunch of legal stuff. Dave said about they need to reread the Constitution and realize that, yeah. So thanks again, everyone, for coming out. Remember, coming up on Tuesday, Donald Rainwater. I'm trying to get some other people. I don't want to give names yet until they confirm, but I will tell you that I'm going to start hitting doors real soon in possibly your area because I want to get out and meet people. But still, I'm going to be honest. Look, I'm really leery about doing that because of the fear that's been pushed.
Wear a mask
out there.
I would just so for people's sake, if you wear that, I feel like you're going to have that more. If you come out with no mask like I do, you get those looks and people aren't going to trust you. If you wear a mask for not even just for your protection, for theirs,
right,
you'll have a better chance because.
Okay.
Especially for the elderly, because a lot of other people are terrified.
Yeah. And that's the thing is look, I know that those people that are, older are one of the hardest hit by this.
Yeah.
I take that very, very seriously.
Yeah.
The elderly population is at risk. This is real, right? I can acknowledge that this is a real virus, but I can also acknowledge that I don't want my freedoms taken away. And I can also acknowledge that I'm worried about the government expanding.
Yeah.
And having more control over our lives. Chris Wells, he recommends a Michael Myers mask. Yeah. So I thought about a Vader. What do you guys think? You guys remember? The older people will, the younger gen probably not so much. For door to door, yeah, there you go. Do you remember the Halo was it Halo 2? I think it came with the mask.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about. I saw a video on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have that. It's in my buddy's garage. I forgot to grab it. But you can't wear it.
No.
It was just there,
it was
right?
It was for the collection. I think it was 1, 2, and 3. It held.
Yeah, it had like the 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, if I could wear that, I'd totally wear the Master Chief helmet, but unfortunately, it's not online. Wearable. Yeah. It is what it is. So tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow yet. So I have no idea. He's going to be working, and maybe we'll have maybe we'll be maybe we'll make Sunday family night, and it'll just be me and Liz or something. I don't know. I don't know. We'll come up with something. Like I said, I'm trying to get the economy one going because I could sit here and I could bring up my screen share and give you a whole bunch of figures and stuff like that.
It's not the same as having some that really.
I'd really like to have someone that knows what the heck they're talking about. Oh, Dave said mask that wears vote for Dion. I guess you can. There are those that have the strap, and I've seen the Make America Great Again ones. I'd like to have one that
you could probably do that because we have. If you saw that shirt thing that you make your own shirt,
you
do that. I feel like masks might be an option.
That's an idea. Yeah, because we did the screen printing. I think it's called. And it makes like a decal. We did it for some shirts. Sorry,
yeah,
for
you
some
can just
shirts.
do that.
Yeah. I might come up with some. Maybe put my little Dion for Congress logo at the top or something on it. Maybe vote for. I don't know. We'll come up with something. That's a good idea. I dig it. So thanks again, and God bless you, and God bless the USA.